a one-on-one weight loss for the following week. Go out and buy a kid's WWE belt, and you'll be surprised the amount of fully grown men that want that
Desperate to have their name on it. Welcome back to Lose to Win, the podcast. Myself, Jack, and Ben. Unfortunately, no Josh today. A late departure, and I'm unable to make it. But we do have a guest that waiting in the wings that will join us shortly. But what we'll do is, as always, we'll go through the Bournemouth roundup. Then we'll introduce the guest, talk about his Man v Fat journey and what he gets up to and how he's involved with Man v Fat and see where that all takes us. He is a little teaser. He is a fan of a championship team, which has thoroughly enjoyed Ben so far. So they can talk some proper football, as Ben calls it. An opportunity to talk about languishing at the bottom of the championship. So
you're giving it away, mate. You're giving it away.
No, I'm talking about you.
Oh yeah, cheers. Thanks for that.
How's things anyway, mate? How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, played footy last night.
I saw your name on the list.
Little down, and it was a good game. We had really close actually for a game down there. I think it ended up like 4-3 or something for a Tuesday. It was really close. So yeah, it was a good game. Actually scored with my head, well, sort of head and shoulder, but it was nice. It was a nice goal.
I was just saying, I hear there was sadly there was an injury to Kev. Sounds like he's
yeah, poor old Kev. He went through the ring
ankle,
a bit. He got Jesus to start with, and then about 2 minutes later, he had a bit of a clash of ankles with Big Sam, and he came off a bit worse off, sadly, and had to be carried off the pitch. Bless him. So yeah, he went to hospital and had a quick X-ray, I think, and he's got a nasty tear in one of his ankle ligaments. So he's probably going to be out for a few weeks, but not nice. No. Bless him. So we all wish him a speedy recovery, because that wasn't good. No. But apart from that, it was quite a good game, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
busy at the moment, aren't you, with work?
Yeah. Full into production weeks at work next few weeks. So sadly, I won't be here next week. Apologies to the listeners. I'm sure it won't bother you that much. But yeah, super busy, mate. How about you? How's the old knee?
Well, good. I actually have a second MRI scan booked tomorrow. So this is off the back of the recommendation of the physiotherapist following the most recent visit with her, and she was twisting and turning me and was pretty happy with that, and I was quite happy with not a great deal of pain or a lot more movement than before. I was absolutely fine until she started giving me the exercises that I should be on at week 4 at that point, and I was still struggling with the exercises for week 2.
Right.
So she's concerned about the drop off of strength within the knee. So she's instructed a second MRI because she's concerned they might have missed something. So 3:30 tomorrow, back into Poole Hospital for another MRI. So hopefully somebody can tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just like single leg, not even squats. I wouldn't even call them squats, but just being able to put all of your weight into the knee on one foot and bring yourself back up again, which I'm more than capable of doing with my right leg, but my left leg is just not having it, and I feel like I'm going to fall over. So yeah, there's a little bit of concern for that. I don't know really what to expect, but yeah, she was like, yeah, let's get you in for another one. So we shall see, mate. But yeah,
well, fingers crossed for you, buddy. It's all good.
Work is certainly keeping me busy, but I said to Steve on Friday night, I think last week was the first proper week that I really, really missed the football.
Right.
And this week has been exactly the same, with the weather being so mild and dry. These evenings are ideal for
good footy weather.
A little down football. Like, we came and watched Friday night. Obviously our dramatic first. We were first up on the pitch, so I watched
Lots
the Blues
of drama
play
in that one. Yeah,
absolutely. And I was just so frustrated that I could just want to play. Do you know what I mean? It's great to be around it, but it makes me miss it more as well, which is always frustrating. But it is what it is. I've got to do the right thing. I don't want to be crocking myself for longer and
long term
making it worse. So I've got to be disciplined with it, unfortunately.
Fair play, mate. Well, fingers crossed tomorrow goes okay, and it's a good news.
Yeah, hopefully so. But take it as it comes. It's just got to just got to do what I do. I'm quite looking forward to giving them the crutches back because I don't need them anymore. So that's a little bit of a milestone for me. You can take these bastard things back, and
yeah, they're a pain in the arse, aren't they?
They absolutely are. Anyway,
all right. Well, shall I crack on with the old doofaloofa, and then we can get on to talking to our very esteemed guest who we have with us.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Cool. Okay, so purple defeats. Boo! It seems are like buses. You wait half a season for one to appear, and then along come two together. Unfortunate, sadly. It wasn't just the purples feeling the pressure, though. Reds and yellows both lost too, meaning that as the top three stumbled, the chasing pack took the chance to close in. The top five in the main league are now within just 3 points of each other, with the same story, though not the same 5 teams in the pitch league, and an even closer spread, 2 points separating the top 5 in the Scales League. So it's all getting a bit close at the top, isn't it? It's good. It's kind of concertinaed up a little bit. We're mid-season now, and it's good to see that sort of everyone's got a stake in the whole thing. So it's great. It's a little Brian Moore quote. It's all up for grabs now. Youngsters, ask your dad or an Arsenal fan with a sense of history. Yeah,
I knew about that. I messaged him straight away just to chant that Arsenal sing about everywhere they've won the league and the big rival teams, and he said I thought you'd appreciate that one. So yeah, that was a nod to the Arsenal fans. So thank you, Steve.
Bless him. Anyway, here are this week's results. So Blues managed a decent victory against the Yellows of 10-3. Reds went down 6-12 to the Greens. Purples unfortunately lost 9-12 to the Whites. Blacks had the biggest victory of the week with 18-6 victory over Oranges. Wow. So that was a big old score. So Greens recorded a headline-grabbing win with 2 milestones being hit. The resulting 6-goal swing was the margin of victory, although it should be pointed out that Greens also earned a creditable 2-2 draw, which is no mean feat against the high-flying Reds. Yeah, very good result that. Reds are smashing most people on the pitch, so a 2-2 draw with them is really good.
Yeah.
The other winners on the nights, Blues, Blacks and Whites, were also 3 teams who lost the most weight. So underlining the great truth in the heart of man be fat, the losers win. Whites were the only team with a 100% losing record from those who weighed in, 8 out of 8. Well done, lads. While Blues, 8 out of 9, and Purples, 7 out of 8, and Black, 6 out of 8 weren't far behind. Club as a whole lost another massive 22.7 kilos, keeping up our excellent steady progress through the season. So, that's another plus 20 loss. And Josh is not here to give us the full total so far, but that must put us pretty close to the 200 mark already, surely.
Gotta be, yeah. I can't, top of my head, I can't remember what it was.
We've hit nearly 20 kilos a week so far, so at least averaging something like that. So I would say we've got to be somewhere close. Yeah. Only 9 hat-tricks this week, though, but for the 3rd week running with a trio of milestones to celebrate. 2 relative newcomers, Kevin Hughes and Oscar Selic-Pili, is it? I don't know what. Is it Pili or Piley? Selic Pili. Anyway, enjoy their first taste of milestone glory at 5%, while the more established Chris Malone joins the 10% club, leaving him around 4k short of hitting maintenance. Amazing. Well done, lads. Apologies, Oscar, if I can't pronounce your name. That's me just being useless. Well done to Chris as well. Bless him. He's not been with us a huge amount of time, has he? So to be at 10% now is really, really good. So yeah, awesome work. No goals in last man standing, but the field has been reduced again. So 5 players eliminated, with 2 more surviving at the expense of their grace week. So that leaves only 19 left in, with goals coming every week once we hit the last 15. So interesting. Could it be LMS this week?
Yeah, could decide some fixtures, couldn't it?
I'll tell you what, it will if it kicks in halfway through the season. That's gonna upset the apple cart a little bit, I think. It's all new team of the week. No survivors from last time, bringing an end to an era of the mighty Josh Buxton's ubiquitous presence. Don't worry though, Josh lost a respectable chunk of weight, so he's still doing great. Yeah. So how many weeks was that was in? Was it 10 weeks?
I believe it was 9. I don't think it hit the 10. Honestly, I've lost count, but to be able to get in that, I feel bad now, but I'm sure, every time it came up, I was like, is it 9 or is it 8 or is it 9? Is it 9 or is it 10?
Fair play,
epic.
So it's an amazing streak.
It.
So brilliant. Sam Troughton, with a lengthy visit to America to work off, leads the team by dropping 4K of his transatlantic surplus. Well done, mate.
Yeah, wow.
That's a big old chunk. So here is the full lineup of Team of the Week then. Sam, as mentioned, 4 kilos. Well done, mate. Ant Skirman's there, 2.7 kilos.
Yes.
Paul Whittingham, 2.6. Super Jimmy Murphy's in there, 2.3. Well done, Jim. I know you worked really hard for that.
Jimbo.
So brilliant work. Josh is there as well. Josh Davis this time. Good lad.
Hey.
2.2 kilos. Ian Downer, who's a relative newcomer, isn't he? 1.8 kilos. Well done, Ian. And Jordan Mohammed as well, 1.8 kilos. So fantastic work, lads. Really good.
Great to see new names on there as well, isn't it? Especially really newbies getting involved.
Really good. Halfway through season 11, we've got 3 different teams at the top of all 3 leagues, each with a chasing plaque so close you could throw an XXXL shirt over more than half the table. Now's the time to get serious. The titles are there for the taking, and you don't win the game on a Friday night. You win it Saturday to Friday with good habits and good decisions.
Yes.
Over to you. So, do you want a halfway update on the Golden Boot and Playmakers Awards?
Let's do it. Before we do that, on the Golden Boot Award, I did double check with Harry, and it's actually 9, not 8.
Is it?
So yeah.
So who's getting this? Is Josh compiling this?
He is, yeah. And to be fair, Josh is also playing and sorting everything else out on the sideline. So it's no slight on Josh's
he makes
counting
a rod for
ability.
His own back, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah. There's absolutely no slight on his ability to count. It's more that Jordan and H are having a bit of a friendly rivalry within the team, and I as soon as I saw that, I was convinced it was more than 8, and it is only 9. But yeah, they're going great guns, the pair of them, to be fair.
So okay, then Golden Boot goals. Then current leader is Harry, currently at 8 goals. But if it's 9, it's 9.
Yeah.
In second place currently with 7 goals, there's a 3-way tie between George Howe, Lewis, and Bill on 7, and in coming up the rear is Kevin Joggs and Alex with 6.
Yeah.
So well done, lads. The Playmaker, we've got a Playmaker Assists Awards going on here. Dom is there at 7. So well done, Domo. Josh is in there. I think that's why he's put Playmakers in there, because Josh is there on 5.
Yeah.
And then Joggs, Harry, and Paul are there on 4. So yeah, good work on it. And he's got a Golden Glove, of course. Who do you think's got current Golden Glove standing? Oh, there's only one person, so I mean, he can't be the only one.
No.
Ryan's there, of course, with 3. I'm assuming that's 3 saves, is it? I mean, he makes more than
no.
He makes
3 clean sheets, isn't it? I think.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, so he's doing clean sheets. Fair. Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely missed Jordan off of that Golden Boot Award as well. So I'm going to be getting it in the ear when Jordan hears this.
Jordy, sorry, mate. We don't make it up. It's Josh. Just go for Josh.
Just blame Josh. Is it? Jordan's too nice to go straight to Josh, so he'll whinge at me to whinge at Josh. So that's what I'll do.
Give it to him. Give it to him on Friday, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair. Oh, so it's good stuff. Good week all round, I think.
Yeah.
So we're on to the second round of the season now. So we've gone full circle. Everyone's played everyone.
Yeah.
So the halfway market's looking really, really close. So really good stuff. Love to see every team's got a stake in something. So that's great. Yeah. And we roll around again.
Absolutely. And if we are hitting the numbers that we think we've done so far, we are in a very good position for a record season for us, aren't we?
Yeah, defo. And I reckon we can push harder.
Absolutely. And like we always say, when we've got newbies contributing the type of numbers that we're seeing them do, I refer to them as newbies as a little no slight on anybody, not a derogatory term, more the fact that
our newer members,
fresh blood, it gives us
new blood.
Yeah, that's it. New blood is an extra push on the scales, isn't it? Because you get the people that have gone from not doing anything at all, as we all kind of did when we first joined, to getting stuck in. It falls off quite quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, but also it kind of gives everyone else a kick up the bum.
Yeah.
When new people come in and they start doing really well and they start getting decent consistency, it gives the rest of us who've been here since year dot the kind of like kick up the bum to say, come on. You know what this is all about. Crack on, you can do it, and you kind of get a bit more inspired to do a bit better yourself. I think it's important. So Well done, everybody. Let's keep going, and hopefully we can hit some big numbers.
Yeah, keep it up, everyone. Definitely.
Yeah, groovy.
So on to our guest.
Yes.
We have a guest waiting.
Wings.
Yeah, waiting in the wings very patiently.
Sorry, mate.
Enjoying us blabber on about people he doesn't know, and it means nothing to him, which is most of the time anyway. So it's all good. So welcome, Colin. Colin is a coach at Man v Fat Isle of Wight, and is also a coach at coach at two Man v Fat Isle of Wight teams. Heavily involved with both, also heavily involved with the 11 side. So thank you so much for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it.
Good evening.
Evening, guys. How are we?
There he is. Yeah, good. Good to see you, mate.
Really good, mate.
Good to be here.
Thank you so much for filling in last minute, mate. We do appreciate it. So what we do on the pod, before we get stuck into any of the Man v Fat stuff, we do a few icebreakers and learn a little bit about you. So the first things first, as a football fan, which we did check before, who do you support? Whether you can call this team a fan of football, I don't know, but we'll see. Who do you support, Colin?
Well, how about a couple of clues?
Go on.
See if you and your subscribers can guess. So we just spent the last 7 seasons languishing in League One.
I'm not going to say it because I know. So
yeah, me too. But yeah, go on, keep going. Keep going.
We've suffered playoff defeat twice in the last 3 seasons before winning the league outright last year.
Well done. Yes.
If you haven't already guessed it, for my sins, unfortunately, I'm a Portsmouth fan.
Yes, well done, mate. Well done. All the Southampton fans are now screaming at the MP3.
They've all turned off.
What am I talking about? Shouting at their phones, going, "What a Pompey fan? Get out of it!"
It's all about fair representation.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. I'm with you.
And it's such a great traditional club, in my opinion. I think thinking back over the history, even like I know you say it's been 7 years stuck in League One, but the recent history of Pompey is pretty decorated and well known across the country. Definitely, it's a team that have an incredible fan base as well. Every time I've been there, I've been to a few games at Fratton Park, and without fail, it's a noisy, intimidating atmosphere. I've heard a few ex-pros talk about how difficult it was to play there, especially in the Premier League years. How difficult it was to play there because of the crowd being right on top of you, because you're basically just sat below the level of the pitch, aren't you? And if a ball comes out or throw in or something, the fans are right in your face, like really up for it, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. They're right on top of the pitch there, aren't they? So I can imagine that's quite intimidating. And they're rather raucous and loud when things actually get going as well. And I think that plays into our hands a little bit. It gives us a massive advantage on home games.
Definitely.
Well, welcome back to the Championship, mate.
Yeah,
it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? It's we've been out of the Championship for 12 years.
The last few seasons, though, and they have been kind of kicking about in the sort of playoff places and up that top end of the table.
Yeah,
so we're knocking on the
door. My nipper has been strong-armed into being a Portsmouth fan as well. He's 11 years old, and he's had a season ticket for the last 7 years, and he has, because of where we've been placed most season, he's seen more victories than defeats.
Yeah.
So coming into the Championship now, shoes on the other foot a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's starting to realise that it's not all 3 points week in, week out in the Championship. We started off all right. I think we played a lot of the sort of high end teams. We played Leeds, we played Middlesbrough, early doors, and done reasonably well. Picked up a few points, but that few draws that we started with hasn't really developed into anything more other than coming to London a couple of weeks ago and being
we won't talk about that one. No, fair play, mate. Fair play. It wasn't really a 6 point because it's way too early in the season, but both teams being down there, I think it was quite a big win and a great win for you boys, because I think you probably, it would have given you a good boost, certainly, going into the next run of games.
Yeah,
that's it. They're all important between now and Christmas. We need to start picking up some points put a little bit distance between us and the bottom three.
Yeah.
Hopefully bring you with us, mate, because
I hope so.
Don't want to see QPR go down either, do you?
No, absolutely not.
But it is what it is. It's football at the end of the day. You only get what you deserve out of it.
Yeah, it's very true. We've had a bit. I mean, well, I guess to start talking about Championship football now. But we've actually done a bit similar. We've just drawn too many. We've actually played some half decent football at times, but we've just drawn too many. We've only won one game. Admittedly, that was a good game, but we've come back for some real shockers. You know, we came back with 10 men against Sheffield United. We beat. Was a decent comeback. The only game we won, I should bloody know.
Burnley, wasn't it?
No, we drew with Burnley. See, this weekend we were away at Burnley. Everyone wrote us off, but he basically parked the bus and played some sort of shithousery football. But that's what you got to do in the Championship. You've got to try and dig those points out. We got a good point back against Coventry where we went down. Oh, we beat Luton. Sorry, it was a really good game against Luton. Beat them 2-1, which, you know, and we're playing half decent football. Just, you know what the Championship's like, mate. On any week, any team can beat any team. So it's a really, really tough league. So
I think the big difference I've seen is that in League One, if you make 5 mistakes in a game, you're probably not conceding any goals. Maybe one. Yeah. In the Championship, if you make 5 mistakes, you're conceding 2 or 3.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the difference in sort of ruthlessness, I suppose, between the two leagues.
I heard that exact same analogy when listening to TalkSport earlier this week, when people were talking about Southampton making that move up. And again, you give the way that they play, and obviously conceding a lot of goals by giving the ball away. They might have been doing, they weren't obviously as guilty in the Championship of doing that, but when they were, the percentage of those chances being converted were a lot less. You've got ruthless strikers all the way through, even strikers that you might not consider. Think about Chris Wood. Think how efficient Chris Wood has been this season. Forest, you give him a chance, he seems to be scoring, and you do that at any team in the Premier League, you really pay for it. So there must be a scale of that going up through the leagues, I'm sure. And it's quite an interesting point you make. It really does make a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One game that sticks in my mind this season was your first game of the season against Leeds. That was a bit of a thriller, wasn't it? Was it 3-3?
Real, yeah, fantastic game. Myself and my lad went up to it.
Did
first
you?
Game back in the Championship, so I'd never been to Ellen Road before. So we managed to get tickets and went up. It's a long old trek, that one. But the game was cracking. Leeds, they probably should have been 3-0 up in the first 5 minutes. They really came out the traps. We managed to get our noses in front. And the sort of the second half was a bit of a end-to-end stuff. And we thought we had nicked it with a penalty, and I think it was somewhere. I think it might have been 90 plus when we scored a penalty. But then Leeds came straight back up the other end and scored their third. And with 2 minutes later, they should have had another. The guy who scored the equaliser, off the top of my head, I can't remember who it is now, but the guy who scored the equaliser was clean through again 2 minutes later and put it wide. So I mean, it was a fantastic game to be at. Ellen Road atmosphere is pretty decent. And we add to that. We travel in good numbers with good voice. So it was a nice welcome back.
I just thought about the fact that Saints beat Leeds in the playoff final. So if you think about it the other way, that first game of the season, if it went the other way, could have been Saints away first game of the season.
But Poppy would have been begging for that, though, wouldn't you? You'd be begging for Southampton to be in there.
You know what? Derby days, and there's been too few of them of late, but Derby days are just they're the best day in the football calendar.
And I'm not sure, I know a few Southampton fans, I know a few Poppy fans, and I've got to be honest, I think the rivalry between you two teams it's got to be one of the top rivalries in the country for me. The passion between the two teams, and I know there are, there's Manchester, Liverpool, and stuff like that, but for real passion, those two teams against each other, I think is one of the got to be up there.
It's got to be. I always look on lists that I see online, like our top footballing rivalries in the UK or in Europe or something, and I always expect to see us in there. Or certainly higher than where we get placed for sure, because it is a real proper football rivalry.
Yeah, it really is.
And there's always been, since I'm 40, and in my life supporting Pompey, most of the time there's been quite a gap between Pompey and Southampton. There hasn't been a lot of crossover. A few years in the Prem, a couple of years in the Championship a few years back, but generally speaking, there's 1 or 2 divisions between the teams whenever they play. But the games when we're in the same league, when you're at your closest, those games are fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really, really something to be at.
The first fixture you look for when those fixtures come out, isn't it? When are we there? When have we got them at home? That sort of thing.
Exactly it. The last one I managed to get to at St Mary's, they put on a barricade. So you had to go to Fratton Park and get a coach from Fratton Park, which took you into a secured area at St Mary's into the stadium. And you had to leave the same way. You couldn't turn up any other way and get into the stadium.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's serious. I've seen footage of some proper nasty stuff going on between it, and it's no joke, is it? There's definitely no love lost between the two. And I know when Saints play Bournemouth, Saints are adamant to not call it a derby. Don't call it a derby. It's just a rivalry or whatever. Which I get because they don't want everyone to lose that rivalry with you guys. And it's almost like, I don't think to the extent of how fearful the FA are of it, of Millwall and West Ham meeting each other in the cup at some point, but the FA love the fact that you guys are in separate leagues, and the police love the fact that you're in separate leagues, because they just can't cope with it, can they? And I'm not advocating the nastiness that goes on, but it gives it that extra edge, that bite, doesn't it? It gives the crowd that extra feeling. Nothing beats it.
Yeah. No, certainly not. And my son, he's been to one.
Derby.
Southampton derby.
Is he?
It was a cup match, I think 2 seasons ago, and we lost at Fratton Park, but my wife was dead against me taking my nipper over it. He was 9 at the time.
Wow.
He was plenty safe. There was the police ramp up all of their preparations before the game, don't they? And quite honestly, it's not quite as fierce in that sense as it used to be. Of course, the crowd are at each other the whole time during the match. But you do get less, brawls outside of pubs and stuff than you used to. So
the people looking for trouble are looking for the people that want trouble. I don't think they pick off innocent people, are they?
And they're not going to be down the high street, walking to the train station. If they're doing that sort of stuff, they're going to be out of the way, because they don't want to get nicked for it either, do they?
No, definitely not.
But anyway, that rivalry will never go away, though.
No, absolutely.
I remember someone asking me years back when Pompey were in trouble of going out of business. Before the fans chipped in and bought the club. Someone said to me, "Oh, if Portsmouth were to go out of business and weren't there anymore, would you support Southampton?"
No.
You know what? I'd probably not
haven't
support
Waterlooville.
No, exactly. What? No.
Certainly wouldn't be changing to red and white.
No, definitely not. You've all been done over by Harry Redknapp once or twice anyway.
Oh yeah, good old Hazard.
You think about it, you as well, Ben. He's been.
Oh yeah.
He's had a go at QPR as well. He's had a go at Bournemouth. Yeah. I think Bournemouth was the only one that he didn't leave without a pot of piss in, to be honest. The rest have all struggled after his dodgy dealings and his goings on, bless him. His brown paper bags.
Bank account's looking quite healthy though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So on the theme of Pompey, obviously you've given us a fair run over of, I get a feeling I know why you support them and how avid supporter you are. Is there a player, past or present, that sticks out as your favourite player, one player that you just reminisce over and go, I remember that goal that he scored, or that moment? Do you have anything like that?
That's a hell of a question, that, isn't it?
It's tough.
You know what? My favourite player growing up, and he's a current Premier League manager, maybe not for much longer, but my favourite player growing up was Gary O'Neill.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
But only because he's the same age as me, in terms of within a matter of weeks.
Right,
he's the same age as me. And when I started going over to Fratton Park by myself, about 15, 16 years old, was when he was breaking into the Pompey first team.
Wow.
And he was with them all the way through the sort of 4 or 5 years leading up to us being promoted to the Premier League. He was with us for most of our Premier League campaign. Yeah. I think he went to Bolton. Well, that could
something
have been
like
Matt
that.
Taylor.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, before we were relegated, he moved on. But he was always one of my favourite players. And mentioning Matt Taylor,
mate,
the
as soon
goals
as
that
you
Matt
mentioned
Taylor
Matt
scored in the
Taylor, I was
Premier
thinking
League.
left foot wizard, wasn't he? Was it left
Yeah,
foot bangers?
yeah.
I remember Matty Taylor was he referred to as a lot of the time as well.
Yeah,
He
Matty
was
Taylor. Yeah, he's in management as
unbelievable.
well
Like
these days.
halfway
I believe.
line goals. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple of big halfway line goals. I mean, there's class players that we've had over the years. We've had Paul Merson, Robert Prosnecki. Some real ballers who were coming towards the end of their career and didn't move much from one spot in the pitch, but affected the whole game. They weren't making 30, 40-yard dashes. They were pretty stationary in the middle of the park, but they could take the ball, beat a couple of players without really moving, and then put a pinpoint pass in for a through ball or a 40-yard pass. So there's been some fantastic players, but yeah, always was quite partial for Gary O'Neill.
Yeah, you've had
Good
some
choice.
proper legends. I'm just thinking back. Did Tony Adams play there as well?
Tony Adams managed.
Oh, of course he did manage.
yeah.
Yeah, Sol Campbell played there though, didn't he?
Sol Campbell, yeah.
Jermaine Defoe, he was there.
Yeah.
Jermaine Defoe, yeah. Crouch had 2 spells at Pompey early in his career and later into his career as well. We've players like Lassana Diarra, who
what
ended
player
up
he was.
how he ended up at Portsmouth. I mean, that's got to be one of those dodgy deals from Redknapp.
Yes.
He was far too good to be a Portsmouth player. And Sully Montari as well. He was unbelievable. So I mean, particularly during our Premier League era, we had some fantastic players. Nico Cranshaw.
Oh, Nico. Getting the band back together, that's the old joke, isn't it? The Redknapp joke. We get the band back together.
He had a core of players that just followed him around as well.
Everywhere, yeah.
He could have brought Defoe to Rangers. I'd have been quite happy with that.
That
never happened.
There's been quite a few crossover players between QPR and Pompey, actually, thinking about it, isn't there? There's a few you've mentioned there, yeah.
To do with Redknapp. Cranshaw, definitely. But O'Neill finished his career at us. In fact, it was down to him that we won the playoff final against Derby because he got sent off.
And Crouch started at QPR, didn't he?
He did, mate. Yeah.
So there's a little bit of crossover. Well, there you go. Look at that. So yeah, fair play, mate. It was it's probably one of the more obscure teams that we've had. We've obviously get all of the top 6 and everybody glory hunting, supporting those sorts of team, and then obviously we get Bournemouth fans as well because where we're based. But yeah, it's nice to hear that, mate. It's really good.
Being from the Isle of Wight, you're either Portsmouth or Southampton for the most part, and it was my dad that dragged me to my first Fratton Park match, and I got the bug straight away. And my nipper now as well. So we're talking 3-4 generation Pompey fans here at this point. So
proper fans, mate. Proper fans.
Proper fans that travel every other week and midweekers as well from the island to go and watch. So fair play, mate. That's there's dedication there, and those cold, wet, windy Tuesday nights on that ferry. I can't think of anything worse.
One of my Man v Fat clubs is on a Tuesday, so I get to miss those.
Okay, fair enough. Sound okay. That brings us on quite nicely. So, give us your story with your Man v Fat, and what you currently do at the moment for Man v Fat on the Isle of Wight.
Well, currently, so I'm the coach, the health and wellbeing coach of 2 clubs here now on the Isle of Wight. One in Sandown on a Tuesday evening, and one in Cowes on a Friday evening. We've got 6 teams in each league currently. Nice. About 120 players across the 2 teams, across the 2 clubs, so that's where a lot of my time's taken up during the week. Is
there any blokes left on the Isle of Wight after you?
There's not many. There's not many that aren't involved. Yeah.
The ones that don't qualify, too skinny, too young, or old blokes that can't play football anymore.
That's it. That's the only ones that
you've
are left.
Got the rest.
Yeah, we've got the monopoly on men's health on the Isle of Wight at the moment, by the sound of it.
Nice, very good.
But I started myself as a player when the league started in February 22. Started there as a player myself. Took to it really well. Started I was 150 kilos when I started. And over the course of the first 2 seasons, I got down to about 110. So I lost about 40 kilos over the course of 2 seasons. Got got a nasty knee injury. Sounds similar to what you're going through, Jack, to be honest.
Oh God.
and subsequently put a little bit of weight back on. How I did continue to attend though. That's a really key point, and something, a really good aspect of Man v Fat is that I've done things in the past like Slimming World, because I've always been up and down with my weight, and I've done Slimming World and stuff like that in the past, done really well. But the moment I stopped, all the weight just piled back on.
Yeah.
And the difference with MVF, I had to stop through injury. I had to stop playing through injury, but I was still going in every week and weighing in and trying to score some points for my team off the field, to participate in that kind of way. And then shortly after that, became the coach at Sandown as well. So our coach had to leave for work purposes. So they needed someone to replace him. I was an AC at the time, or it was called player facilitator back then. I was a player facilitator for a little while before then, and took the club on as the coach. And that with my injury and then looking after the club as a whole, I kind of took my eye off the ball a little bit and put a little bit of weight back on. But I'm on the right track again these days. I'm still, my last weigh-in on Tuesday night was about 125 kilos. So I'm still 25 kilos down on where I started, and back on the right track. I don't know about you guys, but I'm one of those people that's either 100% on something or I'm 100% off of something. There's very little in between. So just got myself back on track and back focused at the start of this season. And part of that has been because we've started this second club in Cowes now, and they are doing so phenomenally well that that I will go as far as to say I'm completely inspired by some of the guys at that club. They lost just short of 500 kilos in their first season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. How many
Over
teams?
6 teams?
6 teams.
6 teams, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Christ.
So, that has inspired me to get myself back in gear as well, which is good.
Amazing, mate.
That's
so
amazing, though, to launch with 6 teams. So did you launch? I mean, how many did you have in each team when it launched? Did you have sort of half a dozen in each team, or
absolutely full? Yeah. So,
really?
Sandown started with 6 teams and it was full, so it was 10 a team in Sandown, so 60 guys. Cowes launched with 11 in each team.
Bloody hell!
So we launched with 64, and we're sitting at about 120 across the two at the minute.
Wow,
that's impressive stuff. And so you're looking at expanding your league to 8 teams. Are you going on that road?
It's been discussed. We're in season 10 now at Sandown. And we're kind of level at the minute. We don't get a lot of people leaving, but likewise, there's not a massive waiting list. And Cowes were in season 3, so they're still fairly
early days.
But it has been discussed, as well as a variety of other things as well. Possibly a third club if they can get.
Where would you put that? You have to go to the other side of the island, wouldn't you?
That'll probably head out over sort of West White Way, so over sort of freshwater direction. A bit closer to you guys. Bit of a swim mind.
Do you have many players that do both, like you? Do they many crossover?
There's a few. Yeah, I think there's 5 or 6 guys that do both Tuesday and Friday nights.
Wow, yeah. Keeps them honest. We've got a few that do the same with Paul, and they're even closer. So ours is Friday night and theirs is Monday. So that would really make you tight and careful over that weekend.
God, yeah.
So all the fun at the weekend is completely gone if you're doing both. But mate, there's so much that you've mentioned there that resonates me. Not just the injury, but this similar sort of weights. That 100% on it, or a switch is 100% on, or very quickly drop off. There's so much, and I completely resonate with that. I'm sure that's something that everybody else does. In terms of your experience with it, how long? So have you been from the start with Cowes? Sorry, the 6 is that the team that's in season 10?
No,
Sandown.
Yeah. Sandown. Sorry,
season
Sandown.
10, yeah. So 10. I was a day one member at Sandown.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, amazing, mate. So yeah, that's incredible. So in terms of your journey, what's next? What do you see as your kind of next goal personally and as a club?
Personally, like I say, I've got myself back on track this season. Been inspired by the guys in Cowes. I want to push on and get my next percentage. So I got to 30% previously.
Nice.
So I want to push on and get that 35, 40% as soon as I can. It's a bit of a slog to get back there, and sometimes you think, I was not far off of that before.
Yeah.
And you've let it slip slightly, and now you've just got to double down and force yourself to get back on it and get back to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So I want to push on for that on a personal level. Across my two clubs, I just want to be there and support the guys. They're both a really great group of guys. To be fair, it's probably true across all of Manvifat. I've come across very few bad apples in any of the clubs, because everyone's there for the same reason, aren't they? Everyone's there to sort of improve their health, to shift a few kilos, and to have a decent crack of it as well. So there's a massive benefit to people's mental health as well.
Definitely.
whilst they're being there. So I keep really close tabs on how much each club's lost over a season and things like that. I really don't dig into the statistics and stuff as well. So we always try and push to better what we lost the previous season, every season. There's a little bit of budding rivalry now going on between Sandown and Cowes as well, which I play on a little bit, if I'm honest, to motivate the guys a little bit more.
Nice, little friendly rivalry.
That's it. And both have got 11-a-side teams now as well. Nice. So there's that rivalry's being extended to an 11-a-side format as well.
Nice. Well, so we did meet briefly. I don't know if we actually met, but you were at the awards this year up in Manchester, and it didn't go unnoticed that your Isle of Wight teams, I don't know if it was one or both, but they were quite regularly popping up in the nominations awards. So you must be doing a lot right over there. What were you nominated for this year? And did you actually win any of them?
So it was our first season going up to the awards in Manchester. It was a bit of a rush because we had the following morning.
That's right, you had a game, didn't you?
We had a game the following morning. Yeah. So we had to be back in Basingstoke for about 11 a.m. the next morning. So it was a bit of a flying visit. But we got a number of nominations. So we got Club of the Year for the South region.
Nice.
And I was nominated as Coach of the Year for the South region.
Brilliant.
And we got the Community Partner Award as well. So our partnership with the Isle of Wight Council got nominated for that as well. What did we get? We didn't come home with any golds. But being it was only our first year there.
Fair play, mate.
That wasn't too bad at all.
No, that's pretty epic. Well done. And how was that journey back down that following morning? A few sore heads, was it a bit ropey, or were you okay?
I think we all took it easy. So myself and my two ACs were there with me, and my wife.
She kept tabs on you.
Yeah. But obviously one of the lads, Kev, he was the designated driver for the journey back south. But myself and Ben, our other AC there at the time, we both really wanted to get to the game and play the game because it was a playoff final. It wasn't just a league match; it was a playoff final. So we did take it easy.
Nice.
And got down and won it as well. Won the playoff
well
final
done, mate.
and got promoted. So it was
amazing. So talk to us about the 11-a-side stuff. So we were talking before. You're involved with the Southern 11-a-side league, the unofficial Manvifat side of things. So how's that going, and what does that look like in terms of numbers of teams involved?
We're in a unofficial Southern League. It's called Southern League 11s. You can check them out all over Facebook and all sorts of social media platforms like that, I'm sure. But that started last season. So the 23-24 season started with 2 divisions of 6 teams. I think you guys were in initial conversations about joining as well, but started off with these two divisions of 6 teams, and a cup contest mixed in there as well. First season went really well. I was really impressed with how well it was organised. It's it can be difficult at times to make the necessary arrangements that you need to with other teams to make sure you've got a team there on the day and that you've got pitches booked and all the rest of it, and all of that's kept sort of in-house for each of the teams. But the season went really well. We, like I say, we came out, we finished second in the league, and went up through playoffs. But the format has expanded this year as well, so they've added a third division now. So I think there's 6 teams in each league at the moment, I believe, and 2 cup contests as well. So the format's expanded, and it gives us another round of football to play. Mostly it's a game every sort of fortnight, so a couple of games a month, which doesn't mean you don't have to be overly committed to be able to attend. But we have enough people in each of the squads now that we've probably got a squad of about 30 people. And regularly that's sort of 17, 18 guys on match day for home and away games as well. And so Sandown competed last season. Cowes put in a team this season, and we're potentially putting in a third team as like a development team almost next season as well. So we're already having discussions about that. So although it's an unofficial league, it's all centered around man v fat, and the same sort of BMI restrictions.
So are they all man v fat members, or no? Not necessarily. You've just got players who are in that threshold.
They were all man v fat teams initially,
right?
So they were all man v fat teams initially. There's one team in there this year which is no longer a man v fat team, but what they've done is they've put restrictions in place. So if you're not a man v fat member, they set the BMI limit at 30% now instead of the 27.5 of man v fat. So if you're not a man v fat team, you've got slightly stricter
fair
things to
make sense. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah,
so who administrates all that then? Who does all that sort of back office stuff to organise that?
So each team will do it between themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got we do it in 3s. So we've got a team manager, a financial manager, if you will, and then like a logistics manager, and they all get involved in that sort of stuff. And then there's some guys, I think they were from the Basingstoke League, that set it, that were the main driver between setting it up. So they set up all the things like they do all the cup draws and stuff, proper make a show of it as well, like an FA Cup style cup draw with the balls and the bags and all that sort of stuff. It's brilliant.
Love it.
And then they set up, so finals day last year was I think it's called Westbury Park, the FA HQ.
Oh yes, yeah, I know what you mean.
So they set up the finals day there last year, which was the playoff final and the cup final, which was the day after the awards.
Nice.
They set all of that up as well, and they had caterers there and stuff. It was a brilliant day out. So, it's that part of it's all really well organised.
Great. I don't know why did we not end up doing that? There was I don't think we had enough players, did we, at that time? I don't think there was enough committed to doing that frequent a game.
There was an element of that. The problem we've got, and again, I was talking to Colin before, is we've got obviously just Slades as an option, really. Everywhere else is hugely oversubscribed in terms of availability as a regular pitch, and the only time that we can get Slades is 8 p.m. on a Sunday evening, and I can't expect Basingstoke to come down on a Sunday evening at 8 p.m. to play. So it does make things a bit difficult with that. Something that we certainly will revisit, especially now that what we do, Colin, is I try and do it once a month, is organise and basically an interclub. We've got enough to fill 2 11-a-side teams with like 3 or 4 subs each. Sometimes we get a few little extras and mates to get involved just to make the numbers up. But we basically do an interclub once a month that keeps us going. And we do play regularly against Poole. That being said, we haven't played Poole for a little while. But there's something in the pipeline for some charity football. Yeah, they have, yeah.
Because they put a team out the other day for a match, but had to. I think there was a few of our Bournemouth lads that went and played and joined in. So yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's something that we certainly will keep an eye on doing. But it's the other side of it. I find it very difficult to whinge about the distance because of where you are. It kind of you nullify my argument with that. But I think we felt like we were right on the edge of the teams that are involved. It felt like it was a lot more east. Obviously, you've got Yeovil involved, because Yeovil are obviously west of us, but I think they've got an 11-a-side team. I don't know if they're involved in the actual official or.
They're not involved in Southern League 11s, as far as I know.
Okay.
I think you were probably the most westerly team that was discussed. We had teams. They've got a team from Oxford now, and where's the other one? They've got but they've got a couple of teams from Oxford. There's teams from Slough now. There's Eastbourne. So it's quite a far spread, to be fair.
Yeah. Definitely.
Probably anything within a sort of couple of hour range of the M3, let's say. Then it's it includes all of that across the south coast. It's nice. It's nice though. It's nice to sort of get away for an away day. We've got this stretch of water between us and all the other teams, unfortunately, but I suppose that adds to the adventure.
It certainly does. Yeah. Do you have many come over and make a weekend of it or a night of it? They stay the night before or anything?
Yeah, we've had a few. Yeah, and if people are looking to do that, then we try and get the game on a Saturday so that they can head out on the Saturday evening.
Have a booze up on a
Although
Saturday.
we should change that tactic. We should get them out on a Saturday evening.
Yeah,
that's what I was
thinking.
We'd definitely struggle if we stayed the night before and tried playing the next morning.
Yeah.
I used to be able to do that years and years ago. I definitely can't do that anymore. So you must play a lot of football then, mate. It sounds like you, obviously with your two Man v Fat nights, you're in your other bits and pieces, you're 11-a-side as well. So what does that look like for you? Sorry, how many nights a week are you playing?
Oh, wow. Before Man versus Fat, none. I've always loved football. I've always sort of been in and around the sort of peripheries of playing football, but before Man v Fat, there was nothing. Since joining Man v Fat, football's kind of overtaken my life. I have a couple of sessions a week, Man versus Fat. We set up extra indoor football on a Thursday night, and we play on a Saturday morning as well. Just that's kind of like a drop-in kind of game. It's just whoever turns up on the day. So I was doing that. I got involved with a local kids team, coaching a kids team as well. So that was on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So quite quickly, from joining Man v Fat, I now I see my wife maybe once a week in passing. But she's very understanding of all of that, because it's something that I'm really quite passionate about now. The MVF part of it, of course, but actually going out and socialising with a lot of these guys through football as well, has really changed the direction of my life over the last couple of years. Which sounds really, really quite grand to say, doesn't it?
No, but it's true.
It genuinely does for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that resonates with a lot of people, and it's really nice, I think, when the WAGs appreciate what it has done for a lot of us as well. I mean, we had a sort of a bigger awards night last year, earlier this year, as sort of the first time we've ever done anything like that, and we invited a lot of partners along, and certainly the feedback that we got was, I don't think they really fully understood what it meant to everybody involved with the club, and to see, what it meant to us was a bit of an eye opener for a lot of them, and I think certainly, I know I can speak for my wife, and I can probably speak for a few others, that they're really proud of what we've done, and they understand that it means a lot to us, and to get that sort of validation from our better halves is really nice, and it sort of hammers it home just how good a program it is, and how good it's been for so many of us. So it's nice to see, and I'm glad that you are being supported fully in your 5-night-a-week football.
Well, I wouldn't be able to do it without that level of support.
Exactly.
So.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
definitely not. And there's an element as well, I'm sure you both agree, there's friends that I've made that I feel like will be friends for life through it now.
Definitely.
People from all walks of life as well, people that I would never have crossed paths with. I think it's safe to say you and I, Ben, without thinking about it, there is an age difference between the two of us, and
what are you saying, mate?
I was trying to be as nice as I could. Then you still made me out to be a baddie. there's obviously an age difference between the two of us, and but I think it's
very
just
different walks of life as well. Very different.
Absolutely, and it's just amazing. It's so much more than just the football. And you're right, Ben. When I think Lisa, my wife, grasped it as well, and I was playing as much as you, Colin. And I think her understanding of it was, oh, you're going to play football again. It's when I'm going out at 9:30 at night, and she's like, I'm going to bed, and I'm like, I'm going to go play football. Yeah. She just doesn't understand it, but she does now. The her pet peeve and her biggest problem is the little black bits that you bring home from the little pellets when you take your socks off, and they're everywhere. I've got the other thing is as well. I've got two cocker spaniels, one of which is obsessed with socks. So if you leave a sock anywhere, he gets it. And the first thing you want to do after playing football, I definitely do, is just get the socks off. The feet feel horrible, especially if they've got a little bit wet or something. Yeah. And if I just leave it just in the wrong place, he's got hold of it, and it's chasing him around the garden for hours. So yeah, the little black pellets and me leaving smelly socks around is thankfully is the only problem that she has with it. No. And also she is adamant that I'm not playing football until I'm ready to again after this injury. Yeah, so she is she's been my what's the opposite to your devil on your shoulder? Angel on the other shoulder.
She's being the angel on one side.
Do the right thing. Do the right thing. And I'm really trying to. So, mate, it's so good, and it's a great insight to what you do, and fair play for running 2 leagues and 120 odd blokes. The admin side of it. That's one thing I was going to ask. What sort of incentives do you run in your league? So you would have heard Ben mention that we do last man standing. We've done some sharing some snacks under 100 calories. We've done step challenges. What sort of thing do you do?
Sounds fairly similar, to be quite honest. So we do a weekly challenge across both clubs, and I try and replicate it so that I don't have to come up with too many crazy new challenges every single week.
I don't think anybody blames you.
Exactly. But yeah, we either do sort of a nutrition sort of cooking based challenge, or we'll do an exercise based challenge, or we'll do a weight loss based challenge each week, and the guys will score goals through that. We also do we haven't quite got as far as a podcast yet, although that, let's see how well this goes. But we do a lot of like custom graphics and stuff like that to celebrate the guys' achievements each week, and to sort of post the scores and stuff. And a lot of the guys will use them, and I'll see them on their Facebook feeds, like, oh, I got in team of the week, or or I got my 15% award or something like that. So that sort of motivates the guys as well.
Yeah.
We've chucked in on a sort of monthly rotation now. We track the biggest loser across the month as well, and I've got custom certificates made up for the biggest loser each month.
Nice.
And we do that for the biggest loser of the club, and also the biggest loser under 100 kilos as well, because I found that we were
very different.
We weren't getting lost, but chances are if you're under 100 kilos, you're not going to be the biggest loser in a month, because bigger lads are going to be losing more weight, which stands to reason. So we do both of those, and we do a members-led member of the month certificate as well. So
nice.
they fill in a form for us and say, so and so really helped support me through the last few weeks, and really, it's not necessarily weight loss based. It's more on a interpersonal kind of level.
Nice.
And so they're sort of nominate for a form on there as well. But the biggest thing that we've done, which is it's going to sound quite crazy, but I saw another club done a Royal Rumble. Sounds similar to what you guys have just done. So a battle royale kind of style thing. And off of the back of doing that, we've now got 2 title belts.
Nice.
So we've got a heavyweight and a middleweight title belt.
Which, I like it.
If you're the holder, I'm the current heavyweight holder. Actually, I'm the current heavyweight champion.
Nice.
And then what we do is the biggest loser of each month in each weight range challenges the title holder every month, and it's a one-on-one weight loss for the following week.
Right.
And whoever loses the most weight takes the title, and then we take the belts away and we get names printed on it. So it's almost like a record of who's won it as well. So that kind of kicked off this whole weird WWF theme that kind of runs through a lot of our challenges now. which it's not football related in any kind of way, but it does kind of keep all the guys motivated. And people quite often come up to me and go, right, I want my name on that belt next month.
Love it.
So yeah, that really drives motivation. So if you go out and buy a kid's WWE belt, and you'll be surprised the amount of fully grown men that want that
desperate to have their name on it.
Clamoring for it. Love it.
A few Rikishis knocking around, I bet.
Yeah, one or two. Yeah, we don't have any stink faces though, so
no,
nobody needs that.
No trademarks. I hope you guys dress up for your Christmas drinks as WWF wrestlers. That'd be incredible.
We've been talking about comic relief and the game closest to comic relief, doing a whole set of sessions in fancy dress.
Amazing.
So a lot of people have said things like heroes and villains and stuff like that, but you know what, WWF wrestlers wouldn't be bad. I reckon I'd make a good Hulk Hogan.
Get the lycra out, mate.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That could be quite terrifying.
I tell you what, if you can share the picture of your belts, that'd be amazing. I will. I'll put it on our socials and share it with our coach and player facilitator, which is or assistant coach, as it should be termed, is Josh is one of them. So he's always after new ideas and little incentives to things, and we've definitely got a few wrestling fans in amongst us. I know that for sure. Yeah. So I like the sound of that. It's amazing. So
we have a kid who is genuinely a wrestler.
Is he?
Well, yeah, lad Steve. He's a wrestler in that's like an Isle of Wight wrestling production.
Okay.
Going on, and so he always corrects me if I make a mistake. If I call like a type of match, I name it wrong or something like that. He's the first one in there to tell me that I got it wrong.
I bet he is. Yeah. That's amazing. That's so good, mate. So is there anything else, Ben, you want to ask Colin?
Well, there's a couple. I know Joshy put in a couple of questions, and sadly he's not here to ask them. But he's certainly got a couple of questions around being a coach. And he sort of said, "What do you find is kind of biggest struggle being a coach? And is there any type of community member that you find easy to coach or particularly difficult to coach into good habits long term?" That's a question that he's put down.
Difficulty. I think, and maybe myself included in this as well, right? But once you've been in and around the MVF circuit for a little while, there's a few people that will sort of almost put the weight loss aspect to the side.
Yeah.
Which, it's great. MVF has so many other benefits other than just your weight loss. But ultimately, it's a weight loss club.
Yeah.
And it can be difficult sometimes to motivate those guys and get them back on track. So what we try and do is if there's someone sort of stagnating a little bit, myself or my ACs will sort of take people aside or catch them when they're not in a big group of people, see if there's anything we can do to help them and motivate them and get them back on track. Because ultimately that's what we want people to do. We want people to get into a healthy lifestyle, a healthy weight range, and we'll do whatever we can to help people in that regards. On the complete flip side of that, there's some people in our clubs that are so motivated within themselves.
Yeah.
That it's almost like you wind them up and let them go, and they're off.
Yeah.
We've got a guy in Cows who in 2 seasons he is about half a kilo off of getting his 40%.
Jesus. Wow. 2 seasons.
That is, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but with that he's shifted a hell of a lot of weight as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't someone who was, he's crept in just on the mark and lost 40%. He's someone who's quite a big guy, and he's done incredibly well. I am pushing. I don't know how it works or how it happens, but I'm pushing to get him onto the Biggest Losers game.
Yes.
So last season, I believe it was at the Den, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. And we were talking about this recently because there was a threshold and we got it wrong. We thought there was a threshold as to what you had to have done to get into that game, but apparently there isn't. It just happens to be they set a benchmark in a season. So the Man v Fat headquarters will say anyone who's lost, say, over 30% in this season could be eligible, and then they basically draw it out of that. So this season it might be over 35%. It might be, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be over 20%, I guess. So I think it's a little bit of a lottery as to whether you actually get called up. But it might be that only certain players there are only a certain number of players that reach those goals in any season. So you'd have to have a chat to them and see if you can sneak him in.
Might have to start some sort of viral hashtag campaign.
Absolutely, yeah. Get him voted in.
I mean, we're midway through our third season,
right?
And he's, like I say, just shy of his 40%.
See, that's
technically he hasn't even been awarded his 35 yet because he won't get that until next season.
Yeah.
But
of course.
So, just out of interest, though, would you say that he's done that in a healthy way, or has that been kind of extreme dieting?
He's done it in a healthy way. It sounds extreme because of the amount of weight he's lost.
Yeah.
But regularly looking through his logs and stuff like that, he's not done it in some kind of crazy crash diet kind of way.
Yeah.
He's just been absolutely focused on his goal. And he's done really well with it. And as his weight's been coming down, he's been stepping up his exercise as well, which has just helped buff it a bit more. You know, you always want to say, you know, a sort of healthy weight loss, people lose it slower and they'll put it back on slower. And there's lots of studies and lots of things that point in that direction, isn't there? And you know, you want people to do it in a healthy way, but it's just been incredible to watch his determination and his drive, and you know, from looking through his tracking each week, you know, he's not restricting his calories to a point where it's dangerous or anything to that effect. I think it's just clicked for him.
Brilliant.
You know, and he's been so focused on what he's doing that he's absolutely smashed it out of the park.
Yeah, that's great. We've certainly had a few members that have done that, but we've also had members that have done that and then they've stopped and then put it all straight back on again.
Rebounded.
Yeah. And so it's quite an interesting thing actually in looking at the sort of figures and sort of psychology of it, I suppose. With people can be really focused and do it for an extended period of time, and then as soon as you stop, it will go straight back on again, and then a few months down the line they'll rejoin and do it all again. And obviously that's not a particularly healthy way of doing it.
Of course not.
But it's very interesting to see what works for people, and I mean that must be for you. It must be quite interesting to see. We always say that there are some people, like you say, who struggle and lose a bit of motivation, but there are some that don't quite get it straight away. But then all of a sudden you see them click. There's like a little sort of click in their brain where it kind of triggers in, and they suddenly just find their little thing, whatever it might be, that clicks them into action and then gets them motivated and gets them on the wagon, and it's really nice to see when that happens. That must be quite rewarding from a coach's point of view to see those sorts of results.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's why in the long term I've got no plans of stopping doing this. Because I'm seeing that transformation in people, and not just in their weight and their shape and their body and all the rest of it. It's in their confidence and their mental well-being as well. So long may it continue, because it's genuinely, and I don't want to start getting too gushy, right? And if any of my lads end up listening to this, they're about to hear a side of me that they don't normally hear on a Friday or a Tuesday. But honestly, I'm massively proud of what those guys do on a weekly basis. You know, everyone, you know, even the people that aren't shifting a lot of weight, you know, over a period of time, they're there every week, and they're trying every week, you know, and that's just as powerful as someone who's, you know, knocking off a couple of kilo every week. It's the people still turn up, and for me that's the difference between things like you know, other weight loss programs. You know, I've tried other things in the past, and like I said earlier, I'm either 100% on it or I'm not. I'm 100% off. And other things that I've tried in the past, as soon as you stop, you put the weight back on. But I think because of the way that MVF is set up and the way that it's, you want to do the best for you, but you want to do the best for your team as well. I think that's what keeps a lot of us guys in line. And I think that format of it is really what it's all about. It's not just you and you want to improve yourself. It's you want to do it for your newfound teammates, your newfound friends, and everyone else along the way as well. So, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. It's genuinely one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. So
it's fun, isn't it? Yeah.
Amazing,
So many
mate.
have the same reaction. It obviously works for so many people. It's great to hear, mate. Really good to hear.
I must say, I bloody hope they're listening. I'm looking to see 120 extra listens this week on the podcast once you promote it across.
Yeah, from the
one
South
of the biggest
Island.
clubs in the South. It's huge, mate. So yeah,
get you some new subscribers if we can.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I think again exactly what you said resonates with so many people, and the joy of what we do is being able to speak to people like you that we've not spoken to before properly today and learning about it, but the story remains the same. The consistent story is sticking with the consistency of it is when it will pay off, and that's how that works. And when we speak to coaches like yourself, the story is also the same as well. There's the consistency across that. The players that have done so well generally tell us the same story. We've had some mad obscure weight loss stories, but we also had the ones that have done so well by being consistent and regimented with it. But the biggest thing is that the drive to go back again. You might be having that shit week, or you might have gone, I've blown it out this week and ruined it. But to go again that Friday night or Tuesday night or Wednesday, whatever night it is, because that camaraderie of those blokes around you that are going to put their arm around you and go, look, we've all done it. We've all had those fuck it moments. We've all had those bad weeks. We get back on the horse and go again. It's so consistent across it that it means so much more to us as a group of people than it does just as an individual. And that's so important. It's so important. One thing I heard about the whole kind of I don't know if you have this as well, speaking from my experience, those fuck it moments. A guy that I follow that's a local PT does these funny kind of quite frank videos on TikTok and Insta or whatever. And he said, you have that fuck it moment, you've had probably gone over your calories. Put that into perspective. If you had a night out and you'd spent more money than you wanted to, you wouldn't then the next night go, I'm just going to go out again now and spend more money, and I'm just going to go out again the next one and spend more money. Another one I've seen as well. Have you ever seen the meme of the little boy that like is just learning to like carry a glass of milk, and he spills a little bit, and he's looking at the floor, and while he's looking at the floor, he's like purposely spilling more and then just throws it on the floor. He's like, that's what that moment feels like. And you kind of go, but it's just not a natural thing to do, but it just seems to be when it comes to the diet and food, it's so easy to do, but it's just not that's so unnatural. It's such a strange thing that it becomes natural. It's just an interesting take on it. And it's definitely something that I can resonate with it as well. And I'm sure I'm not the only one with that, but
I think we can be very quick sometimes in trying to force things into weeks, into calendars, can't we? And you have one bad day, and like you say, you get the fuck it moment, and then you go, oh, I'll start again next Monday or whatever. But you're right though. You're right. If you can have a bad day and just draw a line under it, get back on it the next day, and quite honestly, if you have one bad day in a week, you can probably mitigate that across the rest of the week and still come in with a loss. So it's about having that mindset. And I always say to all the lads in all of my clubs, if you ever need anything, reach out to me, because I can put an arm around you, or I can kick you up the ass. I'm pretty good at doing both, right? So whichever one you need, let me know. And I'll get behind you, and I'll help you get back to where you need to be.
Love that, mate. So go on then, just to round it off then. What would your top bit of advice be for any member or anyone thinking about joining? What would your top bit of advice be?
For me personally, and I think that you'll get the most out of it. The biggest bit of advice is planning. For me personally, I've got a magnetized board on the fridge in the kitchen, and I will plan out meticulously what I'm eating in a day. And if you end up at the supermarket getting your big weekly shop and you've got a list of what you're buying, first of all, you're less likely to chuck in a tube of Pringles because you've got a list of what you're having. And B, roughly where your calories are going to sit. And once you know all of that, you can plan around it. So if you need a treat, if you need a Snickers at the end of the day because you've had a rough day, you know that you can fit that in around the meals that you've already planned. So for me, that's the biggest thing. If you plan out what you're doing, you're more likely to stick to what you're doing.
Love that.
Yeah,
good advice.
Such a great
sound advice.
bit of advice. Yeah. Excellent. Ben, I think we've covered everything we'd want to with Colin.
Certainly from the Man v Fat stuff, absolutely.
There's obviously some football topics, but I think looking at the time and how long we've been going for, I think it's probably best that we save that for another week. Obviously, we'll wait to hear Josh's opinion on a new Manchester United manager.
Yeah.
And I know there's some
of the week.
Ballon d'Or stuff that we're going to talk about, and Vinny Jr. throwing his toys out the pram and not turning up. And all some other bits and pieces in between. I'm sure there'll be some stories off the back of this weekend's football as well. But I think that's a fair place to stop. And Colin, thank you so much, mate. We really do appreciate your time. As I say, it was proper last minute joining us today, so we do really appreciate it. And you've been fantastic. And a nice to have a contact across the water that we can arrange some football with as well. Thoroughly looking forward to doing something and
definitely
and seeing what we can do. So amazing.
Brilliant. Appreciate it, guys. It's been nice to have a chat with you. And, and if you ever need someone to fill in again, you know how to get hold of me.
Yes, top man. Yeah, it's been really nice to meet you, mate. Good luck with it all, and smashing that Cows League. Holy moly, incredible stuff. Really, really well done.
Serious numbers. Yeah, amazing. Right, so thank you very much for listening, guys. Colin, I'll be looking out for those numbers going up with your guys listening this week, and everybody have a great week and enjoy. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheerio.